We're going to take a lunch break now. We will reconvene 1 o'clock. All right, we're going to go back on the record. The Commonwealth ready to present its next witness.
Yes, without further delay, the Commonwealth presents Major Tammy Ferguson to discuss facility security.
Hi, Major. Welcome.
Hi. Good afternoon. I am Tammy Ferguson. I do serve in the capacity as Chief of Security for the department. I began my career in 1995 as a correctional officer trainee at SCI Smithfield. I remained at that facility and was subsequently promoted through to correctional officer 4 or captain until 2009 when I accepted a job as the regional inspection captain for the Central Region team. I was promoted to my current position in May of 2010. In my current job, I do oversee the responsibility for the Special Response Teams program, the Critical Incident Management program, the facility staffing processes, the facility inspection processes, drug interdiction unit, policy revisions for policies in which I serve as business owner for, and any special projects designated or delegated to me by the executive staff. I do serve as a member of the Operations Committee, the Consolidated Psychiatric Review Team Committee, the Security Level 5 Housing Unit Committee, the Technology Committee, the Prison Rape Elimination Act Clinical Review Committee, the Uniform Committee, for which I serve as a subcommittee member for body armor, Perimeter Intrusion Detection System Committee, and the Identification Verification System Committee. Before we can assume or begin to talk about facility security, it's important for us to note that everything associated with work inside a facility is associated in a process that we refer to as risk management. In the risk management process, it's important that we can identify our risks. In the corrections or in the field of corrections, risk can be categorized as acceptable or unacceptable risks. An acceptable risk, for an example, would be permitting visitors to enter the inside of our facilities. We put mitigation strategies in place to combat that risk. An unacceptable risk factor would be the introduction of contraband inside our facilities, to which we also assign mitigation strategies. So the second process of risk management, which I've alluded to, is the identification of mitigation strategies, and then we have to develop a plan of action. And once we develop the plan of action, we put the process into motion and we implement that plan. And finally, through a continuous process, we monitor and control the effectiveness of our mitigation strategies to the specific risk.
Can you put your mic up so people can hear you in the back? Or turn it on? Yeah.
No, I can't.
People in the back.
Oh, sorry. Just hit it. Is it on?
You need to put it right here.
There's a switch on the top.
Good.
No.
Nothing.
There you go.
The first process that we'll look at is the security staffing process, and that is the process. It is a systematic approach in which we utilize to ensure that there is sufficient staffing inside our facilities to safely and securely meet our operational needs. We do perform these on a cyclical basis. Externally, we complete a security staffing process every 3 years, and internally, the facility manager or the superintendent is delegated to complete his own internal process at least annually. Interim processes are offered, and they are completed at the direction of the secretary, the executive deputy secretary, the respective regional deputy secretary, or the facility manager at their request. There are justifications for the completion or to have an interim process completed, and those include a change in policy revision, an increase or decrease in inmate population within inside a facility, as we move on and bring additional housing units onto line in facilities. With the introduction of modular units, it does call for an increase to the staffing complements, and this is when we would complete it, or changes in the duties for a particular facility. The deputies that spoke prior to were alluding to some things regarding to the assignment of dialysis hubs or facilities associated with hospital care, and we also have transportation hubs within the department that would require additional staffing for that facility. The responsibilities for the staffing survey process are outlined in policy. The facility does have certain responsibilities to complete the process. They're usually delegated to the facility manager, and they will submit a facility character profile report to the facility security coordinator at central office. Basically what the facility character profile report is a snapshot or a footprint of that facility. It breaks down the units on the facility, the specific mission of that facility, whether they're regarded for treatment or a facility that conducts heavy re-entry programs such as SCI Chester. They'll complete their correctional officer assignment report. Basically what that is an 8-hour outline of what that particular officer is assigned to complete throughout the course of their day. And then a summary of security activity codes. Every officer inside a facility is assigned to a specific area or activity. You may be, or they may be an officer assigned to act in support of treatment or in education. They may be a housing unit officer, or simply assigned to security in regards to yard rec dining, control centers, things of that nature. And then the facility manager must submit 7 consecutive days of shift rosters. They'll also provide written justification for any post that they're recommending for additional or elimination. And then they'll provide post orders for any of the above posts. And then they'll have the responsibility to provide written notification to the union within 30 days of the staffing process that lets them know that it is about to be completed. The facility security coordinator, like I said, is assigned directly to the central office security division. They will ensure that the shift rosters and the post titles match the existing or current staffing survey report, and that the posts are adequately reflected. They'll review the request of administration, they'll review the request of the union. They'll coordinate and arrange to conduct the site visit, finally prepare the executive summary, and then they are charged with the final preparation of the staffing survey report. We do perform a site visit for all facility staffing processes. The people that conduct the survey can be either myself or designee, commissioned officer not directly assigned to that facility, and a representative from the Bureau of Human Resources. Throughout the site visit, we do observe the activity that occurs on all shifts. We do usually report to the facility between 3 a.m. Between 3 and about 5 a.m. so that we can observe activity on the 10 to 6 shift. And then we stay on board to observe activity up to and including the 2 to 10 shift. We compare the assigned duties that are being conducted by officers with the existing post orders, assess how those obstacles of the physical plant may affect staffing complements. That's pretty critical in nature. They outlined before facilities that were categorized as non-prototypical. In a non-prototypical facility, we do see that there may be needs to provide different staffing complements to that facility, strictly based on obstacles presented by their physical plan. And then we assess the line of sight abilities within inside that facility to provide for point-to-point and direct observation of inmate activity. We'll review technologies in place that enhance security operations. Part of those are the camera systems that are in place, the perimeter intrusion detection systems that are in place. We'll discuss our observations at the end of the tour with the facility manager, and then finally we'll discuss the requests that were submitted by the administration and the local union for any addition or deletion in post. After we come back from the site visit, the facility security coordinator will take a compilation of all the documentation that was submitted by either the facility administrator and the local union. We'll review that information. We'll review the observations that were made during the site visit, and then we'll conduct a comparative review of facilities that are similar in physical plan, inmate population, and inmate and the size of the inmate and the security level. And then finally, we calculate the assigned posts that are needed by that facility. Calculation of assigned posts is broken down by classification. We do move from the correctional officer 1 post up to and including the major, and then we take the operational days that that post will be in service, and then we multiply that number by the established relief factor that is provided to the Security Division by the Bureau of Human Resources. The staffing survey report that is completed by the facility security coordinator is reviewed by myself as Chief of Security, reviewed by the Bureau of Human Resources, the Regional Deputy Secretary, the Executive Deputy Secretary, finally the Secretary of the Department. The appeal process is a process that is offered to the facility manager in the event that they would like to inject on any positions that were identified for elimination, or if they would like additional consideration for posts that they requested for implementation. The staffing survey process is systematic, but it's not just mechanical. We do like to provide and allow for the footprint and the individual characteristics of each facility, and so therefore the appeal process is in line and is in place for the facility manager to do that. They have to submit their appeal to the respective regional deputy secretary within 30 days from the date that the secretary signed the actual staffing survey process report, and then their appeal is reviewed by the executive deputy secretary and the respective regional deputy secretary, and they will make the final decision on any active appeal that is put forth by the facility manager. The facility inspection process is a really valuable tool to us in the department. It provides snapshots of where a facility lies in regards to policy compliance and their compliance with the established procedures at any given time. It evaluates facility operation and maintains or assesses the facility's compliance with accreditation standards. The department does follow or fall under ACA accreditation, and therefore many of the inspection processes incorporate elements from the ACA standards into our processes for comparative review. We've determined that in order to have an effective inspection process, the process has to be definitive. We have to know exactly what it is that we're going in to assess or to inspect. The process is deemed as rigorous. It is thorough. We cover every guideline that is set forth in the inspection checklist to assure compliance or to establish compliance with procedures. And then the process has to be responsive. It has to allow for the facility the chance to provide corrective action for any discrepancy or deficiencies that are noted throughout the process. The department does conduct a lot of separate audits that are individual to the department, but for the purpose of security, we participate in 3 inspection audits. They are the operations inspection, the vulnerability analysis, and the security analysis processes. The inspections are performed on a cyclical rotation. We found that whenever we perform them on a cyclical rotation, it provides for a sound and effective measurement for risk management process. External inspections are always completed by staff non-associated with the facility, and internally they are completed by staff that are assigned to the facility. The operations inspection process is the process that we utilize to compare our compliance with ACA standards. It assesses the established practices in the facility for those policies and procedures. The cyclical